Today we're doing an oil pan gasket on a Subaru 2.5 liter. You can see what I do with this little trash can. I just put a board in, use a skinny end because it's a lot easier to get that tangent line to a circle using the little end than the big one, and then put a board under here. I want to clean the surface really good to where there's no remaining gasket or any other material that can come off, and clean it with brake parts cleaner all the way around. That way the new gasket maker material is going to stay on there just great. To do this, as you can see, I've got the vehicle supported on jack stands, and then you jack it up. What I like to do is use a wood block. I'll show you more on that here in just a minute. But one of the first things you do is pull out the dipstick tube. Dipstick, I just lay that aside, wipe it off so it doesn't leave an oily residue on the wipers. And then there's a bolt that's just right down on the cylinder head on the driver's side. It's just a little 10mm bolt. This used to be there. I've got it pulled up and propped up on that oil line. Most of them don't have the oil line like that one. This one's a little bit fussy. But what you do is you come underneath here and remove the nuts that are on your motor mounts. That's just a little 14mm. Pull one from each side, and then after it's pulled, you can jack the engine up a little bit. Just put a little wood block in the middle between the engine and transmission and just jack it up. It's not jacked up very far. If you go too far, you'll do damage. All it needs is about an inch right there. So once it's up an inch, you're able to use, what I do is I use 1/4-inch drive wobbly extensions to get to the back ones. You do that and then it's not too hard. You can see this is the setup that I use here. I use a short wobbly, a short socket, and a long wobbly, and just zip them out. Now your oil pan won't come down. It'll be stuck up in there until you move the oil cooler. What I do is I take off the oil filter. You can see it sitting right there. And then once you have that off, a 24mm socket will take out that middle part, as you can also see there. So once that's out of the way, this will flex. So you don't have to drain the coolant. You do have to be careful to make sure that that O-ring stays in. See that orange O-ring that just popped out? So you'll have to make sure that you seat that before putting that back in. But once you've done those things, it'll come out just fine. The way that I pull them down is I'll start from this side here. I'll get between the motor mount and the oil pan gasket, or pan, and I'll just pry it with a pry bar until it starts to come undone. And then I'll do the same thing from the other side, you know, between the oil pan and this motor mount, and then just work my way around and just get it to wiggle to come down. This is a little different oil pickup. This is a Killer B. It's just a reinforced heavy duty one. The original one's a circle, but it'll work with you just as well. But you just pull the oil pan down and then you start working it this way, and that's why you have to get this off, is you drop this side first and then get it to go by. Once you come this way, it'll allow the oil dipstick tube to come out. I'll show you what I'm talking about on the actual oil pan. This is not going to be a long drawn out video. This is just a quick and dirty. This is the oil dipstick tube that we pulled the dipstick out of earlier. So when you go to put it back on, make sure that your O-ring is in place here. I guess this one isn't even used. Yeah, it's just hard. Felt like steel. A real hard O-ring. Anyway, you should have an O-ring here. You should take gasket maker, put it all the way around. Make sure that you get the inner line really good, because the inner line seals up where all the bolts are. A lot of times people just do one line around here, but if it squishes out and you don't have any inner line, you can get a leak at the bolt holes. So you want to make sure that you aren't one of those people that have to do it over again. That would suck. But anyway, I'm trying to think of anything else I want to tell you about it. Of course, you got to drain the oil before you do any of this. Use your oil catch pan. Make sure to recycle the oil. So going under the car and looking what we have in terms of access, with the engine raised up with the block, it gives you just enough to be able to get up in there. You can see that I can make the turn and get a socket on it just barely. And what I do is I coach a socket and I maintain the angle by coming in from the side with it here until I get to the inside, and then my finger's actually right on it, so I'm able to place it. You can see half of the other bolt and then this last one here. So the two that are from this side I do from that side, and then the two from here I guide it in from this side, just like that. Now if you pull the tools out and then slowly let the engine down, watch what happens to the working space that you have. You watching? Here it goes. And it's gone. And I believe the flashlight I put up in there is stuck, so I'm going to have to go back up again anyway. But it gives you an idea of why you have to raise the engine up just a little bit. Put in 4 quarts of oil. Watch that oil light right there. We're going to start this up. Looks like we're good. If you like this video, be sure to click like, subscribe. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Thanks.